Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to the podcast. It's a really sad day for the podcast. Today's the 15th of December, and yesterday in Sydney at Bondi Beach, some absolute dogs and evil people decided to come down and shoot up a Jewish family gathering on the beach there here in Australia. It's just not acceptable. Whatever your walk of life or your faith or your politics, shooting other people, civilians, is not on. These people are absolutely evil. So my prayers and condolences go out to the 15 people who have been killed, including at least one child, and the 40 people that have been injured. Hate like this isn't acceptable anywhere in the world, and definitely not here in Australia. And hopefully they get their full justice, whether here or the one that got killed in his afterlife. Okay, enough on that sad note. Now let's get on to today's podcast. So what's happened in the last week in AI? There's obviously been a few changes happening coming out. On one side, we've got the big platforms racing to release more capable models. On the other side, we've got systems that are moving closer to everyday tools that teachers and students already use. In some cases, national school systems themselves getting involved in that. Once again, I'm going to pick out 5 particularly different items. First thing I'm going to start with is ChatGPT 5.2 has been released. Been described as, again, the same sort of marketing. The most capable model yet for professional work and long-running agents. Agents is really important. I've got a good YouTube video where I've started talking about agents in a context of teachers with online stores. You can go check that out. But in practical terms, it means stronger reasoning, better coding support, and more stable behavior when you get long documents and conversations. So often, I guess in the past, you found you're having a long conversation, starts to get sidetracked or your responses aren't quite relevant. It'll fix up some of those issues around there. It's also got some new safety evaluations for sensitive areas, things like mental health, which obviously a lot of people like discussing their mental health on AI. So it's available via the AI API if you've got a third-party app, such as a wrapper, in ChatGPT, of course, as well as Microsoft has already begun rolling it out under their Microsoft 365 Copilot program. So as a teachers, it's not just a simpler, smarter model. It's important to question how this affects tools sitting around our existing workflows. In your system or school, if you're using Copilot, you're going to see that actually coming through. But it's also going to be much more helpful, more effective in terms of things like report comments, policy summaries, first draft of unit outline. But once again, your professional responsibility and judgment remains at the base of it. The second comes from Google. They've re-released their deep research, or relaunched it. I guess it's a more powerful autonomous research agent built in Gemini 3 Pro, which is the model they released a few weeks ago. Instead of generating one-off answers, deep research is designed to ingest very large collections of sources or web materials, work them over for a longer period, and return a structured research response. So Google is exposing its agent to developers, so developers can take it and put it in their APIs, embed it into their own apps, and has released a deep search QA benchmark to measure performance. So this search is a bit of a change for us. It's no longer just getting links back, similar to, I guess, some different agents, such as on different other platforms. So students are going to get a better experience in terms of the research and the narrative constructed by the AI systems that actually comes back to them. Once again, that's good and bad. Obviously, we don't want our students just to put everything in AI and rely on what comes out of that. But like I said, it's something to consider when you're asking students to do research of the tools they may be using, officially or unofficially. Question related to this is Notebook LMs has got a new Ultra tier. So it's also obviously a very popular platform because it can bring things like readings, notes, curriculum documents, create things like the podcast or audio summaries. It can do videos. It can now make what's called infographics and things like that. So the Ultra upgrade expands notebook capabilities where you can put up to 600 sources per notebook, a lot of data. It raises limits on features such as audio overviews, quizzes, flashcards, infographics, and the slide decks. There's benefits and bundles and the Google AI Ultra plan. I haven't looked at the pricing. And you also get priority access to these new features. In practical terms, it just means it's now possible to house an entire course, a large research project within a single notebook workspace. For teachers, this could mean building a single notebook that contains a syllabus, documents, readings, assessments, and exemplars, then using the tool to generate differentiated summaries, practice questions, and so on. The opportunity is obvious, but there's also a risk. As notebook grows, it becomes easy to forget which sources and perspectives are shaping the answers students see. So when you put a lot of content in, you always need to curate it and keep on top of the sources you put in, and maybe update and change them as information changes in your context area. The fourth one that's come in is for the ChatGPT platform. So it's now going to integrate Adobe tools from Photoshop, Adobe Express, and Acrobat directly into ChatGPT. I haven't played with it yet. Definitely worth an episode. I do pay for Adobe myself. So with an Adobe account, users can ask ChatGPT to perform basic image edits, create simple graphics, and managing PDFs without leaving chat. So where this happens in the classroom, if we start integrating these tools, we can then, things like using the Canva I spoke about previously, we can then, through the connectors, we can do Adobe products and do the creativity in there, say if you've got a photography class or an art class and things like doing those changes. Like I said, early days, haven't played with it, see how well it actually works. But like I said, Google is tending to build everything themselves, like the Banana program, things like that. Whereas the AI platform is looking to make these connections with other well-established programs and bring them in. So two different approaches. Which one is better? Time will tell. And the final story that's happened in the last week is El Salvador has announced a partnership with xAI to deploy Grok chatbot across more than 5,000 public schools, reaching over 1 million students across El Salvador. The intention is to provide personalised AI support for learning in a system that faces significant resource constraints, obviously not as rich as many other countries. At the same time, Grok has some issues. Its documented history of amplifying conspiracy theories, anti-Semitic content, especially in light of yesterday's events, and political information before it does those moderation. So in terms of doing that, every AI has bias and things put into it. Grok's a bit different. It relies, say, for example, on a lot of Twitter or live content coming through. So for modern events, it's actually really good. It can give you a lot of data. At the same time, it's skewed by this online social media platform that has some issues or people within it itself. But like I said, it's a progression, and it'll be interesting what the experience comes out of El Salvador, how they do it, but how they incorporate it seamlessly into their curriculum, their program, their pedagogy, without actually taking away those core thinking skills that is important for our students to develop as they move through our school system. So what we're looking at the last week, these developments show AI in education is not standing still. As I think every week I'm going to have easily 5 top comments to actually talk about. But the main thing is becoming more capable. Agents are becoming more autonomous, and that's important because you can get it to do things when you're not there, speeding up your productivity and saving your time. And integrations are weaving AI into tools, institutions we already rely on, such as Adobe and Canva. For teachers, I guess the ways to stay sufficiently informed and make deliberate choices. Now, you don't have to take all these tools on. You don't have to go Adobe. You just got to be aware of what they are. Concentrate on what you do really well and then build on from that. So this is our AI update for this week. I'll be back later in the week with my normal episode on Wednesday. Thank you.